Big news just hit. 21 Shares rolled out their spot XRP ETF today, which means we're sitting at 5 live spot XRP ETFs in the market right now. So naturally, everyone's asking, what kind of cash flow and trading action are these fresh ETFs actually seeing? Here's the deal. I'm going to give it to you straight. There's also this huge sell-off happening right now across crypto. I want to keep you updated on what's really happening. And listen, there's something else we need to discuss. XRP liquidity sitting on exchanges keeps getting sucked dry. We're talking almost nothing left at this stage, but you need to see the complete breakdown so you're not caught off guard. Okay, so what's the story with the wider crypto space before we jump into XRP? Check this out. Breaking the exact reason why the market just crashed. Wintermute dumped 9,300 Bitcoin. Coinbase dumped 8,300. BitMEX dumps 8,000. Binance dumped 5,400. Bitwise dumped 5,000. Bitfinex dumped 3,700 Bitcoin. But wait, don't misunderstand this. These companies aren't the ones selling off. What you're actually witnessing is institutional money and everyday traders panicking about market conditions and hitting the exit button. Bitcoin and the broader crypto market are selling off hard today. Bitcoin was down sharply from October highs, and leverage getting flushed out across major exchanges. Altcoins are underperforming in classic risk-off move as micro jitters, ETF outflows, and cascading liquidations hit all at once. At price action for Bitcoin, Bitcoin has dropped roughly 6% to 8% on the day, trading at around mid 80,000 range, after briefly dipping to about 83,000 to 85,000, extending for a drawdown of more than 30% from October peak of 126,000. Ether is down 7% to 10%, trading at about 2,700 to 2,800, with XRP and other large caps also posting single-digit, low, and double-digit losses. None of the large cap names and indices in the CoinDesk 20 are green. The index itself is down 7% on the day. So brace yourself. Between $600 and $650 million in leverage bets just evaporated into thin air. Here's what you need to get through your head. You're essentially playing poker against AI systems and billion-dollar firms that have every advantage imaginable. Think about it. When's the last time you heard someone genuinely winning big with leverage trading? Barely ever happens. The reality is, whatever clever tactics people think they're running, they're getting steamrolled. Traders are out here constantly gambling on the next rally, and what happens? They get liquidated again and again. Look, sooner or later, folks will figure this out. Just grabbing the coin and parking it in your wallet for years might actually be the genius move nobody wants to admit. But this madness, it's not going anywhere. Here's what's wild though. Once all these over-leveraged positions get wiped clean, that's usually the signal that actual growth can start happening again. I'm tracking everything as it develops, and you'll get the latest from me. 30 minutes online, we saw 11.13 million combined. Franklin Templeton, Bitwise, Canary, and Grayscale. So yeah, that's what the trading activity looked like spread across all these funds. So Chad jumps in with the numbers. In the first hour, 13.2 million combined. Franklin Templeton leads with 188,000 shares. Tardy, another $30 to $40 million today. Clock keeps ticking. 2 hours down, almost 19 million. At a pace, we'll break 50 million today. Then he's back saying, less than 2 hours left, we've cracked $30 million. If things keep moving like this, we're probably going to land somewhere in the 35 to 40 million range before the market closes. Not bad at all. I'll hit you with the complete breakdown once trading wraps up. Now here's where it gets interesting with Bitwise. Bitwise XRP makes some big volume moves. 245,000 shares, about 5.48 million, takes first place. Total combined, 17.91 million. I believe that was from an earlier timestamp, but I'm showing you this because Bitwise is seriously dominating the volume game right now. Did 21 shares, XRSP ETF launched today. They went with Toxer as their ticker. Super odd choice if you ask me. Trading started this morning on December 1st, 2025 through SIBO, which isn't exactly a major player in the exchange world. That's likely why the volume hasn't exploded on this one yet. Okay, so check out these insane numbers. XRP liquidity shift, exchanges are dumping billions. New data shows a massive long-term shift in XRP holdings off major exchangers. While most exchanges saw small daily increases, the long-term trend is undeniable. 6.45 billion XRP has been removed and tracked from exchanges since February 2025. Now 28.62% in a drop of total supply on all platforms. The great withdrawal. Who's bleeding XRP? Coinbase is virtually empty, down 99.93%. Coinbase has basically zero XRP sitting around anymore. You'll probably need to jump ship to Uphold, Kraken, or somewhere else if you're looking to buy. Gemini and Bitcoin marks also down over 98%. So yeah, US exchanges are completely dried up when it comes to XRP supply. Here's what this means going forward. Once OTC trading desks get depleted too, your only shot at getting XRP is going to be waiting for Ripple to release some from escrow or scraping together whatever crumbs are left on exchanges. So look, I'm sitting here trying to wrap my head around what happens next in the States. We actually spent a good chunk of time on this. I want to say it was late last week, maybe Wednesday or Thursday. Here's the situation. There's this judge's ruling hanging over everything, and basically Ripple's hands are tied when it comes to selling to institutions in America, unless the SEC decides to throw them a lifeline with some kind of exemption. And I've been watching for it, and that exemption, nowhere to be found. So this gets me thinking, where does that leave everyone? Could we see a situation where these exchanges get backed into a corner, where institutions literally have to go buy through public markets because there's no other option? And you know what? That's actually the best case scenario for us, because that's the moment volume really takes off. Just wrap your head around this for a second. Picture 30, 35, maybe even $40 million. We're talking multiple times every single week of spot XRP getting pulled straight from the open marketplace. That's the fuel we've been waiting for. But there is another side to this coin. Everyday people need to feel confident enough to jump back in. And a massive part of getting there, having actual regulations locked down. When folks aren't constantly looking over their shoulder, wondering what's legal and what's not, when there's real structure and protection, that's the turning point where volume's gonna surge like crazy. The Korean Kraken, Upbit, dominates. Upbit remains the undisputed king of XRP liquidity, holding over 6.18 billion XRP, which is about 38% of the entire tracked exchange total. This highlights the coin's immense popularity and trading volume in the Korean market. A few key moves today. Bitso saw a massive spike of 235% in 24 hours, likely large deposits. MEXC also jumped 14.71% today. Bitstamp saw one of the largest daily outflows, down 4.51%. What does this mean? As billions of XRP moves off exchanges, it suggests that tokens are shifting from private wallets, custody solutions, and being locked up for DeFi and utility. Reduced exchange supply can signal a stronger holder base and reduce immediate selling pressure. XRP Army has been doing the heavy lifting on gathering all this info. Seriously, the guy keeps looping me into his posts, and it's honestly a lifesaver. I mean, yeah, I'm the type who loves going down research rabbit holes, but having it delivered, not going to complain about that. So let me break down what I've been finding. I decided to run everything through Lexi because I wanted to see if there's some bigger picture emerging when you step back and look at the whole landscape. What we've got sitting on tracked exchanges right now is about 16 billion XRP. But hold up, here's where it gets messy. A massive chunk of that, people already own it. It's locked in. The frustrating part is there's no clean way to separate things out, you know? Like, exchanges aren't exactly transparent about what's actually available for purchase versus what's already sitting in people's accounts. Imagine if they just gave us a clear split. Here's what customers are holding. Here's what's actually on the shelf ready to buy. That kind of transparency, that would be absolutely golden. But yeah, so moving forward. Since 2025/02/24, those balances are roughly down 6.45 billion XRP, 28.6%. This is consistent with ETFs, custodians, and whales moving coins off exchanges into long-term storage, reducing immediate sell-side liquidity. Exchange by exchange pattern. Korean exchanges, Upbit, Bithumb, Corebit, and Coin1, still hold very large balances, with Bithumb. Shows a huge community outflow of almost 1.4 billion XRP since February. Japanese venues such as Coincheck, BitBank, SBI, and Mercado Bitcoin Analog show sharp multi-month drawdowns, with Coincheck down 50% and BitBank, Mercado Bitcoin also posting large negative percentage in February, which means XRP has been taken off these exchanges. Several mid-tier exchanges like Gate.io, Bitfinex, Bitstamp, Mexi, BitGet, Bitso, OKEX, KuCoin are down 50 to 100% of their tracked XRP balances over the same period. Daily flow signal on the snapshot date. Most of the largest balances on Upbit, Binance, Bithumb, and BitBank, Coincheck and Crypto.com, Coin1, Bitflyer, Kraken, and Bybit show net positive daily changes, meaning short-term pause or reversal in outflow trend. It looks like folks might be getting cold feet about where the market's headed. There's a chance they're shuffling their XRP onto exchanges ready to dump it. Or hey, maybe they're playing chess here, waiting to grab some cheaper XRP when everything dips. Now, I'm not sitting here pretending I've got a crystal ball into what every whale or institution is planning. I'm just connecting the dots from what the data is showing us. A few exchanges stand out with sizable single-day drawdowns. Uphold, Bitrue, BitGet, suggesting localized user outflows or internal wallet moves, but these are small compared to the months-long drain. Combination of about 6.45 billion XRP, and there's still roughly 2 to 3 billion hanging around on exchanges that could flood the market. Price discovery above $3.40 is not technical, it's structural. XRP has never traded in an environment with institutional inflows. ETFs, regulatory clarity, and global DLT transition, the next cycle won't resemble the previous ones. Now check this out because it gets wild. US SEC to review tokenized rules with Coinbase, BlackRock, Galaxy Digital, and Robinhood. Here's what's actually cooking. The US SEC has scheduled a virtual meeting on December 4th to discuss updates to cooperate governance rules with a core panel focused on how tokenization could be used in equity markets. Who's showing up to this party? Heavyweights from those companies I rattled off, along with NASDAQ and Citadel Securities. They're gathering to hash out tokenized equities, figure out issuance models, and nail down what ownership rights actually mean going forward. NASDAQ is making its move to dominate tokenized stocks and tokenized settlement infrastructure. 2026 is going to be absolutely massive for this, and honestly, it's sneaking up on us at warp speed while everyone's still sleeping on it. Why this matters? The agenda centers on treating tokenization and market infrastructure, how stocks settle and are recorded, rather than a new asset class that escapes securities regulations. So the discussion is about integrating blockchain into existing securities rules. Outcomes from this meeting are not expected to create immediate new rules, but the discussion could shape the future SEC guidance on tokenized securities, AI-related disclosures, proxy voting reforms, and blockchain interoperability across market venues. Kosher news from Singapore. The MAS has approved an expanded scope of payment activities for our major payment institution license. Monica Long, sitting at the top of Ripple as president, just shared this update. Robust licenses equals better customer experience. With this expanded scope of payment activities for the MPI license, Ripple can scale our license payment services in Singapore for our growing customer base, including banks and fintechs, proud to keep growing in Singapore. What blows my mind is Monica's been hopping around Singapore constantly, and frankly, she's turned into this unstoppable force, crisscrossing the map, planting Ripple flags in new markets faster than we can keep track. On top of that, Chad Steingraber drops this headline: XRP to $250 is inevitable. Okay, so the year's almost wrapped, and there's this huge debate swirling around. Will Jay Clavers actually pull off his insane $750 prediction before we flip the calendar? Or are we realistically staring down a 2026 scenario? My 2 cents? Yeah, I'm pretty convinced this is going to stretch into next year before we see those targets. Listen, I can't sit here and tell you whether the entire market's going to blow up in the next 20, 29, 30 days. And please, anything but a collapse during Christmas. That would destroy so many families when they should be enjoying the holidays. But let's be real. We're living in absolute chaos right now, and the game can change in a heartbeat. Over in Japan, that carry trade is still falling apart piece by piece, and mountains of money need to find a new home. Is XRP going to be where it flows? Your guess is as good as mine. All right, folks, I'm going to call it here. Thanks a ton for sticking around and watching. If you pulled anything useful from this, hit that like button, spread it around, toss your perspective in the comments below. It genuinely helps the channel grow. I'll see you in the next upload.